Season's greetings, folks. Back with another Christmas music reaction. And we're going to listen to one by Natalie Cole. I wanted to give a big shout out to Yvonne, who sent me her Holly and Ivy album, which I think was like her 16th studio album. I was just looking at this on Wikipedia. But yes, this is from 1994, and it features, according to Wikipedia, a number of non-traditional recordings of holiday songs and carols, or at least that's how Natalie described it. Which is interesting because one of my favorite carols, especially when performed in a more traditional style, is The Holly and the Ivy. So I think it's the last track on the album, but that's the one we're going to start with. And I'm very curious to hear how Natalie does this in a less traditional way. But yes, I've come to very much enjoy her voice, and she already is working from an advantage when it comes to my impression of what I hear, just because I grew up such a fan of her father's voice, particularly and specifically in holiday music. So yeah, as I said, I very much enjoy this carol, which has a bit of an older sound, and thus I'm curious what Natalie is going to do with it. Let's give it a listen. This is Natalie Cole and her performance of The Holly and the Ivy from the album Holly and Ivy, which, as I said, is 1994, and it was provided by Yvonne.
The holly and the ivy, when they are both full grown, of all the trees that are in the wood, the holly bears the crown. The rising of the sun and the running of the deer, of the merry organ, sweet singing in the choir. The holly bears a berry as red as any blood, and Mary bore sweet Jesus Christ to do poor sinners good. The rising of the sun and the running of the deer, the playing of the merry organ, sweet singing in the choir. The holly bears a prickle as sharp as any thorn, and Mary bore sweet Jesus Christ on Christmas Day in the morn. The rising of the sun and the running of the deer, the playing of the merry organ, sweet singing in the choir. The holly bears a bark as bitter as the gall, and Mary bore sweet Jesus Christ for to redeem us all. The rising of the sun, the running of the deer, the playing of the merry organ, sweet singing in the choir.
lovely. She definitely put her own stamp on it in terms of vocal inflections at a couple moments. I think the tempo was a bit slower and even halting at some points compared to other versions I've heard. But it was less non-traditional than I expected it to be, given that description, which my understanding, based on the Wikipedia article on the album, is that she had given interviews at the time of its release and was saying that, it's 11 covers, one original song, though not by her. I think it was written by someone else, like for her. In any case, she indicated to the music press that it was going to be a less traditional Christmas album, but by and large, this one still had the sentiment and feeling, as well as the normal melody relative to other more traditional renderings. So yeah, it was a bit less different than I expected it to be. She does have, once again, a very lovely voice, and the couple moments where she did embellish and flourish in a way that is not standard for the Christmas song, I thought it worked well. So yeah, a lovely performance, and clearly, on some level, this was seen as a notable track on the album if it eventually was given more or less the title for the album, which is to say The Holly and the Ivy is the way it's phrased for the song, but Holly and Ivy is the album title. So yeah, not quite, or not exactly the title track of the album, but just about. And yeah, there's some other ones on here that I'd like to hear, so at least we'll do one more of these, if not a couple more, before the end of the holiday reactions, which, again, I've been saying this in different videos, but they will continue past Christmas, roughly a week or so. I imagine maybe the last batch of holiday reactions will happen on January 2nd. I think that's my plan. So yeah, we'll try to get at least one or two more in from this album. Do let me know what you think of this performance, and I will see you for the next one. Peace.